The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's session of Out-of-Home Office Hours. This is Scott Fischetti of Geopath, and I'm here with
Dylan Maven of Geopath. Hi, everybody.
Hey, everyone. Thank you, everybody, for signing up. There's a good number of people that signed up for this one, and we really appreciate your time. So for this week, we're going to do a couple things. So this is the third installment of our Operation More updates. And just to give you a quick overview of the agenda, I wanted to just give a quick talk about Geopath rebrand and show you one or two things on the website just to make sure everybody's aware of the evolution and what that means for the industry. Give a quick update on Operation More. I'll take you through a quick overview. Dylan will take you through the proof of concept tools just to show those to everybody. But then we also today wanted to do a use case example. So really starting to dig in and kind of peel the layers back of how we can start using this data, and specifically how we can leverage the peak audience delivery data that will be available through Operation More ultimately. So I'm just going to jump in and go from there. So obviously Geopath is our big news. So on September 19th, as probably all of you know on the call, we were rebranded from TOB to Geopath. But the thing that's really important for us with this is that it's a strategic shift for us as an organization, but also us as an industry overall. And this is our positioning statement. We are the industry standard that powers a smarter out-of-home marketplace. And the key here, and why I'm pausing to talk about this, is really that this next line, through state-of-the-art audience location measurement. And that's largely what Operation More is all about. Operation More is a strategic shift for us as an industry about not just looking and measuring audience impressions, but measuring audience location and understanding audience location and understanding audience journeys and how that is impacted, or how that impacts impressions overall. So that's a key part and a strategic shift for us as an organization, as I said, and as an industry overall. The next thing I wanted to just quickly talk to everybody about are some of the features of our new website. And I know Nick did this a couple weeks ago, but the one thing I want to make sure everybody, all of our members really know about is our Geek Out library. So this is our homepage of our new website. Just quickly, it has all of our blog information there, so you can click on any of these and want to be providing thought leadership to the industry as well. But also, if you're looking for data and need some stats on out-of-home, here's some data on out-of-home by the numbers. We're going to continually refresh these numbers. And again, often we're all looking for data and information on the out-of-home marketplace. So here's a source for them as well. But also, as I said, I wanted to show everybody our Geek Out library. And the intention of the Geek Out library is to serve as a resource for all of our members. So ultimately, all you need to do is come here, type in your login information, which is essentially your email address for your ADS or O-Plan system. And there's a series of close to 30 decks right now, and they're all short, as we've been calling them, short research vignettes on a variety of topics, from demographic based, so millennials' attitudes towards social media, baby boomers and their attitudes towards diet and health. I scroll up here, and some are at a category level, so travel related to theme parks, politics, state lotteries, and they're all largely PowerPoint presentations that you can click on, download, and I'll just open one up really quick so you can get a quick sense of what they're all about. And this one I happen to, which we just posted this week, is about movie statistics and insights. Oftentimes entertainment is a key buyer of out-of-home as well. So, and they're all very short and some level of design, so you can use them as they are, or even drop them into your own deck. Largely built with Siemens data and other third-party data as we need to tell the story. But they'll start with the kind of a so what. So almost 2/3 of participants have seen a movie in the past 6 months. Millennials households with kids and those that have seen out of home in the past 30 days, all over index and movie attendance. So then I start to tell a little bit of story about them. So as moviegoers, how many movies they've seen, percent that have seen at least one movie. So you get the sense of theaters they're attending, types of movies they're seeing, genres that are most important, and those that have seen out of home, as well as millennials. So similar information across all of the three segments that I've kind of outlined here. And then industry cheat sheets and some general data and stats around the industry overall. So that's just a quick example. Definitely want to make sure everybody knew about this and is using this. There's if you go on there, I encourage everybody to explore. If you go on there and you're not seeing something that you want or need, please reach out to us. We're happy to create some of these decks for you or give data, provide data to you for whatever you need. If you're responding to an RFP, a pitch, whatever they may be, we want to be seen as an extension of your team as much as possible, and this is one way that we're trying to do that for all of our members. So please leverage this, and as you can, as you have questions, please reach out to us, and we'll be happy to like I said, sorry, I just want to get up the next screen. I'll be happy to provide more data to you. So I also want to talk about Operation More. So I'll give a quick overview and then hand it off to Dylan, and he'll take you through the proof of concept and show you those tools, and then we'll show you the use case, as we said. So Operation More, it stands for, if you don't know by now, Measurement, Optimization, and Ratings Enhancement. And the ultimate goal of this was to really help us as an industry keep pace with other industries. Obviously, there's a tremendous amount of data out there these days, and smart marketers are leveraging it across different things for advertising, for product creation, etc. And we wanted to make sure we were keeping pace with that as an organization. And Dylan's team ultimately was challenged to figure out how would we do this as an industry? What are the different data sources that we would leverage to do this? And largely it came down to mobile data and connected car data as being a key data source for this. But we also want to make sure everybody knows the different data sources and the data redundancy that will be available within the tool, because we don't want to rely on any one data source for this. It's still going to be based in traffic counts, because we still need to understand the flow and where people are going. But with our partnerships through AirSage and City Labs, we will have access to many fold more sources for traffic counts. Currently, I believe we have somewhere around 80 to 90,000 sources. This is going to go upwards to around 2.5 million sources for points for our traffic counts. And then having that as a base, being able to layer in mobile data and connected car data really starts to give us an understanding of people's home locations, people's work locations, and ultimately the journeys that they take in between. And we know that there's somewhere around 1.1 billion trips taken each day, and about half of those trips involve a purchase decision. So now, given that we have this level of granularity of data, we have a better sense and a better understanding of what those other quote-unquote other trips are for. And then also, because we know the home location of the devices, we're able to understand at a much more granular level the demographics associated with those home locations, and therefore the demographics of the segments of those people passing by the inventory available on the roadways and pedestrian areas. Sorry, and we're getting some questions, and we'll start to answer them as we go along. And if just to go back, if somebody, as you try to log into the Geek Out library, if you're getting a note that your email is not valid, please email our Geek Out helpline. It's geekout@geopath.org. Or you can email myself or Dylan or Nick, anybody, and we can reestablish your email address with the ADS tool or the O-Plan tool. Okay, so just to go back to this, so the data redundancy, it's based, it's still traffic counts, layering in mobile data, we're layering in connected car data, which gives us a greater sense of traffic throughout the road network, speeds, congestion, routes people are taking, and all that is ported into our data fusion engine, which comes out on the other side of this Operation More tool, which Dylan will show you in a few moments. But I also want to give you a high-level overview of, sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties here, guys. Apologies. Okay, sorry about that. So, Geopath Enhanced Audio Insights. So what does this all mean for us as an industry and an organization? Well, it is really about that precise audience delivery, much of which we didn't have this level of granularity even 5 or 6 years ago. And what's the benefit of that for us? Well, we'll have a greater sense of the historical delivery of impressions, and that'll allow us a greater predictive capability as we move forward. And then we'll be able to get down to delivering reports to a time of day of week level, and also really understanding and showing that seasonal variation that we know exists, and that is currently in our impression numbers, but it is normalized out across the year because it's an average daily number. And this is some of what we'll talk about when Dylan shows the use case, really starting to understand how we're leveraging these hourly impressions and how they vary by time of day and day of week, and what that really means to us as I said, as an industry. And then the other aspect is a more detailed audience profile. So really a deeper understanding of demographics, not at a county level anymore, but at a census block group level. So at a level of about 1,500 people plus or minus, we'll be able to really understand the demographics, the behavioral information, and even at a level of purchase intent and purchase behavior, we'll be able to have an understanding of that as well. And then also trip purpose. Again, as I said, because we have through the mobile devices and understanding the home location and the work location, we do have a greater sense of what those intended trip purposes are and potential purchase decisions that they're making. And also it gives us a greater sense of nationwide coverage of all inventory, roadside inventory, public transit, and fleet as well, and also new formats as they come online and new environments that we can't even guess right now. We wanted to build a tool and want to have a tool that can ingest other data formats and will be future-proofed, as so to speak, as much as possible. And then we also realize this will be a web-based service, and we realize a lot of our members are currently using some of their own platforms, their own buying and selling platforms. We want something that they can plug into, so that's not another third thing that that they're needing to figure out how to port in the data. So this will be flexible and be able to be through APIs ported into other services, and our members will also be able to integrate their own first-party data. You'll see that there is some level of behavioral data in the tool at the base level, but if some of our members are using other first-party data, they'll be able to port that into the tool as well as needed. So that's a high level. Definitely feel free to ping us with questions throughout the webinar, but I'm going to hand it off to Dylan, and he'll take us through the tool really quick and then through the use case.
All right, thanks, Scott. Yeah, so just wanted to highlight some of the level of details that we'll be able to expose about audiences with this type of data set that we've been developing. It's able to really quantify at a very detailed level the audiences that are being exposed to individual pieces of out-of-home advertising directionally, which is a very big improvement over what is being done today. Really understanding the direction of travel and where people are coming from, where they're going, and who they are as far as what their home locations are and all the demographics of those home locations. This is really capable resource. This first example we wanted to highlight on one individual roadway in Chicago, just a level of detail that this is able to extract for one road segment. And this is one road segment, just just the northbound traffic on I-294. This is just south of the Chicago O'Hare Airport. This is an interstate, probably like, I don't know, a couple miles outside of downtown Chicago. So the people that are utilizing this roadway, utilizing it for long distance travel, a couple people utilizing it to get to the airport if this is your local destination, and then people that are in the immediate vicinity of this roadway that reside here are going to need to utilize this roadway to pretty much go anywhere long distance. So keep that in mind when we start mapping out the audience home location for that individual roadway. But as far as the base metrics of the roadway itself, we have a lot of information about it. We know the total audience that can potentially be exposed to these units every single day. There's about 82,100 individuals traveling northbound on this roadway. And so cumulatively, this package of 13 units generates a daily circulation or total opportunities of about 1 million. And over the course of a campaign, taking into account visibility of each one of those individual signs, it generates a total impressions for the campaign. Now, those audiences are coming from all over the country, and 85% of them are coming from within the Chicago CBSA. And we can pan out here a little bit, and you can see the border of the Chicago CBSA. So that's the footprint of the audiences that live within the Chicago area. And we can map those home locations out at a local level. So this is really exciting when you're trying to look at the individual footprint of every individual piece of inventory that GeoPath currently provides audience metrics for. And this is going to be very, very, very helpful if we're trying to understand how individual pieces of inventory can be combined together to achieve a particular campaign objective. If you're trying to maximize reach or frequency, those unique footprints for a unique audience composition are going to be unique, and they can be put together in very specific ways to achieve those campaign objectives. So this is where the 85% of audience comes from in the local area, but there's 15% of the audience that's coming from outside of the Chicago CBSA. And we can map those home locations out. And this way we're mapping it out by county. And as you can see, there is some familiar patterns or patterns that make a lot of sense when you understand the utility of that roadway. It's an interstate, as we were discussing before, so you're going to get a lot of north-south long-distance travel within the Midwestern region around Chicago, of which you see a lot of travel up to Milwaukee, down to St. Louis, etc. We're also getting a lot of travel from outside of the marketplace. Again, this is people that are traveling into Chicago or are leaving Chicago going back home because it's right next to the airport. So you're getting a little bit of this audience from around the entire country. Not a ton, but a little bit for some of those areas around the country. Now you can compare this to a very different package of inventory in the downtown area. We use this package of shelters because it's a very different strategy. Obviously trying to do a domination in the total downtown area. This is about 50 or so, maybe more units. And so we have the same type of information. We have the total unique audience that the package is being exposed to. This is about 340,000 total daily unique individuals. Also generating the total, approximately the same total impressions for the course of the campaign, about 10 million. Obviously, each individual transit shelter is going to have a smaller audience, but more of them together will be able to create the same total impressions for the campaign, and then also a very different footprint and reach frequency because of the location of these units. And now when we look at the local audience for the people that are in the downtown area, you'll see that this footprint of the Chicago downtown audience mirrors what you would expect for the people that are commuting to the downtown Chicago area. You're getting a lot of the local urban areas, dense urban areas, a lot of the suburban areas in the Chicago CBSA, and then sort of stretching out where you know some of these interstates to be of people that are going to be traveling and commuting in the downtown area. Less so in the periphery of the marketplace, even though there's a lot of populations. There's some pretty big cities out here, but not a ton of the population is traveling during the weekdays to the downtown Chicago area. And then keep in mind, this is data just representing an average weekday in Chicago. This data is from October of 2015. Hence the reason why we're looking at circulation numbers for just one day. Now, when we map out the audience home location from outside of the Chicago CPSA, individuals that are being exposed to the shelter package downtown, you're going to see a very different pattern than what we saw before, and that is to be expected. There's a lot of people that are going to the downtown Chicago area for different reasons. Obviously, there's people that work down there, but there's people that are visiting from outside of the marketplace. About 30% of the people in the downtown Chicago area are actually not from the Chicago CBSA. You got business travelers, you have tourists, etc. And when we map that out, you'll see that's a very familiar pattern again, mirroring a lot of the dense population centers around the entire country. And so with this type of information, you could quantify the reach of a national campaign, and this type of information will be available as this is developed for the entire country. We have a couple of questions here. So the question here was about circulation and unique individuals. And yes, so for this example, this is looking at an average day. So the daily unique individuals, daily unique circulation, this is individuals, this isn't vehicles, this is individuals, people that are exposed to this campaign. So if there's 343,000, this is the unique individuals exposed to those units in the downtown Chicago area for this shelter campaign. Now the total daily circulation is the cumulative audience delivery for all of those units, and then the impressions of the impressions for over the course of the campaign. The other question was, with Operation More, the total impressions will no longer be bound by DMA and the neighboring counties outside of the DMA. The impact and change on total impressions could be huge. Well, what does this mean? We could no longer compare the total impressions measured by More against historical impressions. As a matter of fact, the total impressions will be about the same, but the in-market versus out-of-market is certainly going to be something that you're going to want to pay attention to. Because we'll now be able to understand that some of the audiences that are being exposed, so if you have 100,000 individuals on a roadway today and you had 100,000 individuals on the roadway 5 years ago, in our existing product, the out-of-home audiences were going to be from within the surrounding marketplaces. It wouldn't have had the capability, we didn't have any data resource to be able to understand, for example, cross-country visitors or tourists, etc. So that's something that we can now reflect, and the fact that those audiences are coming from across the marketplace, that is a trade-off, that we now are looking at people coming from across the marketplace or coming from across the country, and those individuals will be from outside of the marketplace. So some of those compositions are going to change. But with all that information, it will be much more precise in what we are delivering as a medium, and then therefore much more useful and accurate for the advertiser. Now in the second proof of concept, we mapped out about 15,000 pieces of inventory around Atlanta, Chicago, and Orlando. And you'll see here that there's thousands of pieces of inventory get mapped out. These are some basic functionality. Again, this is just a proof of concept. There's going to be a lot of functionality that's going to be incorporated into the final software solution that Geopath is providing to its members, just like we provide the audience delivery system as well as the O-Plan software. So I'm hoping everyone here on the phone right now is familiar with those two software pieces that we provide to our members right now. Now we can filter, we can select by different plants, we can look at different media types, we can just look at bulletins in this case. And as you pan around the map, you can interact with the map and you can click on different pieces of inventory and you'll see some familiar metrics. You'll see attributes about those panels. You'll see the familiar weekly ratings. You'll see the market population, 18 plus impressions, as well as GRP's reach frequency, again, for the Atlanta CBSA. Now what you're seeing changing is the composition of the demographic, and the little shaded regions over here, the Esri Tapestry segmentation. And this is something that's really exciting because in the past we've only been able to incorporate census information, so age, household income, gender and ethnicity into our ratings, and we're still going to be providing that in the future with cross-tab functionality. But some of the really cool stuff that a lot of advertisers are looking at these days are very specific pieces of information about the consumer. What are their, what type of individual are they? What type of products do they consume? Not just, how old are they? What's the age and what's the gender, ethnicity, etc. And this is something that we can do now because of the level of precision with which we understand the home location of audiences. So we can take the demographics of those corresponding home locations of those audiences, roll that up to every roadway, and this reflects the audiences that are traveling on those roadways. So in this example, I believe this is probably on Peachtree, of course, in Atlanta. And we can see these different type of audience segmentations. This one segmentation is called Enterprising Professionals. And we can zoom out on the map. And the areas shaded in green here are the census block home locations where the most predominant audience segment is this enterprising professionals. Now they're going to reside all over the marketplace, but those areas shaded in green are where they are most predominant. Now the inventory that's now shaded in green, these little green circles, are the pieces of inventory that over-index for that market population. So for the market, the Atlanta CBSA, about 2.5% of the marketplace are these enterprising professionals, whereas 9.6% of this unit, the audience, is of the enterprising professional audience segment. So over-indexes by almost 5, which is a huge lift compared to, or very efficient compared to other pieces of inventory for that marketplace. Now you can learn a little bit more about these individuals. This segment, they watch movies, they buy digital books for tablets, they're into clothing, 2.5 individuals per household. And all this information comes from a myriad of sources. It comes from things like the Experian purchase behavior, comes from GfK, MRI, consumer surveys. And these are clusters of audiences that exhibit familiar patterns or similar patterns. And you'll see that they have, when you map these out across the country, there's certain clusters of the country where these individuals can be found. A lot of information. And this is very helpful because all of this is available for every piece of inventory, and not just audience segmentation, but also drilling down into the individual behavioral or market potential of a particular consumer segment, certain type of product goods. You could look at what pieces of inventory over-index for consumers that spend a lot of money at quick-serve restaurants, or on movies, or gamble, et cetera, things of that nature. So there's quite a bit of information. We can share with you all of the variables that are going to be available as we roll this out. We have this available queued up to show you. And the full list of Esri demographics and business information, consumer information, is available online. So you can see if you want to search for that yourself, but we'll also make these links available as we send out follow-up for this webinar. For example, you can see which areas have tablets, e-readers, money spent on cameras, equipment. It's quite specific. So if there's an audience profile that you're looking for out there, chances are there's a variable that exists within the data set that will help you target for those individuals.
I think there was one more question.
So this mapping tool right now, question was, when are we going to be able to utilize this mapping tool? This mapping tool right now is a proof of concept. So it's we can share with individuals to explore, give us some feedback. We're actually currently working with our members right now to find out what type of user experience they would prefer and how this fits in with their workflow.
Yeah, and so Sean McCarthy and myself are heading up End Users Council, where we're trying to really understand what that, as Dylan said, what the end product should look like, what should be that core features and functionality set be, and conducting sessions like this and others that we are conducting really helps us understand, just based on the questions, helps us understand kind of what that feature set should ultimately be. So definitely feel free to ask questions on this webinar and also post-webinar as they come to mind, because again, the more we can understand what the needs are of our members, the better the tool will be out of the gate. Another question just came in.
Is it possible to have indices against each media unit that index high against a product category usage? Yes, I mean, if we have a certain product category that shows up in this variable list, such as TV ownership, how many people own 4+ TVs or owning LCD TVs, that could always be represented as an index versus the total marketplace versus the inventory in your set and your subset, et cetera. Could be an index against just bulletins or just transit shelters, et cetera. So there's a lot of different ways that you could slice and dice the data. And those are the type of questions that we need to hear from individuals, because that gets into how we provide those functionalities to our members. So if that's a feature request, we'll take note of that.
So next we wanted to show you a use case that we put together and about leveraging the peak audience delivery. So the granular level of data that we keep mentioning, we're going to show you what that really looks like, and then a quote-unquote real-life use case on how you can use that to solve real problems for clients.
Right. So in those past proof of concepts that we've shown on the map, that is data representing one average weekday in October 2015. And that's great to visualize and really highlight the level of spatial precision, the geography, the level of targeting that we can get from a home location. But we also want to talk about, obviously, that there's variation, hours of day, days of weeks, and seasonality that we are going to be making available to our members. And this right here is just sort of a peek into what that would look like and how that could be utilized to help strategize for a particular campaign. So this is kind of an eye chart here. Kind of looks like an earthquake. But this is essentially an entire year's worth of audience delivery by hour for a particular location. And as you can see, there are peaks and valleys. There are some hours of some days that are very, very high, and then there's hours of some days that are very, very low. And we all know this to be reality today. We know that in the middle of the night there's not many people driving or walking around, and we know that during the afternoon, during the morning commute and evening commute, there's a ton of people walking around being exposed to pieces of inventory. And this is where we are today. So to be able to that level of variation is a lot of data, and it's a lot to digest, and that's something that we are going to be working with our members discussing of how to utilize this information appropriately, answer questions that you may have, and really drill down into really where is this data coming from, how is it being derived, what does it mean for me, how do I incorporate this into my day-to-day. So looking at an entire year is a lot, so let's do this. We're going to drill down into just one average week of the year. And when we look at 1 week, it's a little more manageable to understand. So this is starting at Sunday morning, ending at Saturday night. And as you can see, every single day of the week has its own unique pattern. Weekdays, obviously more volume, Friday being the most busy day of the week, but then also Friday having some of the most congestion. So more congestion results in more opportunity time or dwell time, more likely that those impressions are going to occur. So you're also having a couple things playing in there, hence the big spike in audience on those days. And you're going to see that different days of the week have different audiences, we average them by weekday versus weekend. You see very different patterns. Weekdays, people are getting up in the morning, go to work, leave to go home in the evening. A little bit less inclined to get up first thing in the morning on the weekends, as people should be, enjoying some time with their family. And so the key takeaway here is really that every single location has a unique audience profile from a volume perspective, but also composition perspective for every hour of every day of the week. And with this information, we can now make much better informed decisions, and that's really what we need to leverage to move our industry forward, is using this available information about those unique audiences to make more informed decisions, to be more efficient in how we deliver audiences and strategize to be able to compete with other media channels that are providing this same type of data in their metrics. So here's a real-life example of how you could use that type of data in a campaign or to make a decision. We're going to make a decision at the end of this between two almost identical units. So this is a real location in Chicago. This is a business called Butcher and the Burger. It's at 1021 West Armitage Avenue.
And it's a little kind of a hipster burger joint, trendy burger joint, doubles as a butcher shop and a cafe, moderately priced, $10. But we know its current target is, because of data available, single, well-educated millennials, digitally focused, hyper digital, using laptops, iPads, mobile devices extensively, and they spend heavily on housing, food, and education. So the goal we set for this burger, Butcher and the Burger, was they have a new burger menu that they want to promote. And so by leveraging the granular data that Dylan showed us, we can really start to make decisions on which location would be best for this client. If they're coming to us with this specific issue, I have a new burger menu, I'm not open for breakfast, kind of open more for the late lunch, dinner hours. And we have two examples here of real data, with the blue representing the total audience impressions and the red being its current target, so that millennial target, hyper digital, willing to spend on meat, so to speak. So as you can see, as we look at our two examples, so very similar overall impressions for these two locations, but the density of the audience throughout the day of the target audience, you can see starts to build and be highest in the later day, the evening hours, when people would be more likely to be thinking about where to go for dinner, or I'm hungry, let's have dinner together. Whereas you see on the right side, the impressions by hour for location B more heavily deliver that audience in the morning hours of it. So obviously, even for a static board, you can start to use this kind of data to help clients make better decisions on which piece of inventory to buy. So clearly the one on the left delivers that audience at the time when they're in that mode of their purchase decision, when they're in that most likely to need that particular product. And as Dylan said earlier, each location has its own unique inventory footprint, or behavioral footprint and impression footprint by hour of day, by day of week, by time of day, etc. So we can start using that data to help make more informed decisions for our clients and for the industry overall.
If you've been listening to Scott and I in some of our past talks or some of these earlier webinars, the statistical sound familiar, but about half of all trips that are made by individuals, 1.1 billion trips every day, are with the intent of purchasing a good or service. And understanding when people are making those trips and the composition of those individuals is incredibly helpful for out-of-home to take advantage of that opportunity time. The fact that people are about to make a decision about when they're going out to eat and making sure that the unit's audience are best suited to target audiences that are going to be receptive of that type of message. That variation of audience and variation of time is something that we can now use as a consideration when we're strategizing and working with our clients, and that's going to really be helpful to the end user.
Yep. So these are just some thoughts we have on kind of what could this mean for the overall industry. Now, like we've been saying, I feel like it really helps provide that more detailed understanding of the actual audience delivery, as well as to some extent can help us guide and counsel clients or even our own creative messaging for both static and digital, as well as providing greater insight on that particular piece of inventory, a particular location that's best suited for the audience you want to deliver, or even, like I said earlier, the message you're trying to convey. Sound, audio was lost. Hello, did I got a couple notes, or a note that we lost audio and video. Do others? I just want to, if anybody can ping us to see if it was just a specific case, or is anybody on the line anymore?
Can you hear me now? Well, one way or another, we're just about wrapped up. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Rick. Thank you. All right. So audio's in and out. All right. We'll work on our hardware. Make sure that we have a good working microphones next time.
Apologies.
But thanks everybody for listening in. And is there any questions that we have that people still have before we sign off?
Are you able to demonstrate having a group of media locations that lean more to breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
At my fingertips at this second, no, but that's something that we can put together for a use case next go around. So we'll take a look at that.
And also to be helpful to know, like, is having this level of example, does that start to help everyone start to understand kind of how to use this data, these more specific examples or use cases, so to speak. And if you have ideas for other ones, please pass them our way, because we can start creating examples of those as well. I think there was one question we might have missed a little bit ago. Did we answer this one? Is it possible to have indices against each media units that indexed high against a product category usage? Did we answer that one? I just want to make sure we're covering off on everybody's questions.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. We really appreciate everybody joining and the questions, and keep them coming as well. We'll be sending a link to this webinar shortly, and as always, feel free to reach out in the meantime with any questions, comments, or thoughts on any of this. Thank you again, everybody.